Well, he might need a few more picture frames behind him. I don't think he has enough just yet. Michael Korr joining me. He is Vice President and General Manager of Fox 5 in Las Vegas. It is a great television station, and they are doing incredible work. We're going to talk about what they're doing there, the story behind Michael, and then also learning about what it's like for him being a dad of athletes and how he manages that side of his life. I'm Bryan Fenley. I do different events, calling different events for different networks. And this is the Honest Something podcast where we try to enlighten folks with some look into people in terms of the human interest stories of those in the media world. So, Michael, I know you've seen a few of these that I've done. I'm so excited to have you on. Thanks for making the time.
Hey, no, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I mean, the cast of people you've had on, I'm surprised I'm even in that group. It's amazing.
You know, it's so funny that you start out this conversation so humbly, but one of the things where you don't need to be humble is what your team at Fox 5 is doing right now. You came in and obviously you long documented rising up the ranks, creating a culture there in Las Vegas. What is that culture and why is it succeeding?
Luckily, I've been in my current position here since January of 2019. So, just over 5.5 years, about 5.5 years. And, I inherited in my role, I inherited a station that had a great culture to begin with, right? When I first got here as an account executive in 2003, we were actually the number four station in the market. And throughout that time, the leadership we've had took us to being the number one station in Las Vegas. And we've continued to grow since then. And really, it's about hiring the proper characters, right? The people that want to work hard, love what they do, and want to achieve the best. We're a fun, hardworking environment, right? And if you can work in that kind of environment, you're going to be successful here.
Speaking of success, along the lines of what you're doing in the newsroom, but also the launching of this sports channel you have with Silver State Sports Entertainment Network, the genesis behind this and where you're taking this and where it's come from and how far along you've been able to make this entity become such a big deal. What has it taken to do that?
Number one, a lot of hard work, a lot of time, a lot more time than I anticipated, right? Um, we started Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, which we call Triple SEN, back in June of 22, really because we were losing one of our sub channels, which was on, we're channel 5. We've got a sub channel which is on 5.2, which we were losing, Bounce. And I had to fill it with something. And, we kind of all saw the writing on the wall potentially with some of these regional sports networks and the struggles they were having. Plus, being in Las Vegas, Brian, it is booming with sports, right? So a huge opportunity. When you look at a local broadcast television station, live is the best, right? So live news, live sports. On the news side on Fox, we do 16 hours a day of live news content, which is a lot for a market size 40. So I looked at this other opportunity as a sub channel and say, all right, we've got professional and collegiate teams here in this market that don't have a regional sports network anywhere in Nevada to turn to. So we started one from scratch. And we really, really relied on some of the programming that Gray had available, being part of Raycom's, Raycom Sports is part of Gray. So we kind of tapped into some old historical games as we launched the market. We already had a partnership with UNLV. And so, I approached the leadership over there and said, this is a great platform to showcase not just men's football and men's basketball, but we can put women's basketball, women's softball, women's volleyball on broadcast television. And they jumped at the opportunity. That's really what launched the network, is the fact that we were able to get UNLV as a partner. They're re-signed on. We had another 3 years with them starting next year, where we do about 80 to 100 UNLV events annually live. So it's in addition to 9 other franchises here in the market.
So where is this going from the progress you've already seen in that channel to where the potential of it may lie?
Yeah, we started with that old historic programming, right? The historical games. We got the live stuff. Last year, we really started launching into original sports content. where we started, producing weekly half-hour shows. So we now do a show called Sin City Beat, which is, if you remember, ESPN had the old sports reporters program, very similar to that, but focused on local Las Vegas. We do SOS Sports, which is sound off sports, get viewers and such to call in, kind of rant about what's on their mind with sports. We do the UNLV coaches show, the Reb Zone. We do a nationally syndicated show called Beat the Odds, which we, as a local station, to have something nationally syndicated when we're in about 150 plus markets across the country, it's kind of unheard of for a little station. So that's really that next step, is continuing to develop the original sports content.
Where do you feel like, with all of you, all that you just said, Michael, where from what I'm gathering from your story and the story of your station, is that imagination is allowed to grow wild and to run wild and to have dreams and to see things happen. Where do you feel like the ability to allow that imagination, allow yourself to expand and to grow and to try new things, has been a limitless proposition for not just you, but all of your teammates?
Yeah, I mean, luckily Gray has allowed us to do these things, right? They've got a lot of trust and faith, and they put a lot of trust and faith into their local general managers in every market to build and do things that are right for their community. And the fact that they've allowed us to do this here, and the fact that, yeah, we'll try anything. We are never limited with in terms of ideas, and as long as the idea's got a solid foundation behind it, we'll try it. And it's we do sessions across the building here where we allow staff to. It's an open pitch day, right? We'll sit in a room. You come by anytime between 10 and 12. Pitch your ideas. Let us know, and we'll try them. And so it's really open in terms of who's got ideas and what we want to try and accomplish next.
What are the type of ideas that you find are most compelling?
It's I mean, we've really got a list of ideas right now that are pretty deep that I'd love to get to, but the ones that are compelling right now are about, what's hot in the market, right? You know, with Silver State Sports and Entertainment, with Caitlin Clark's story, right? I mean, it's the talk around the country. Every show you're on, you're talking about Caitlin Clark. You know, finding more ways to talk about women and women in sports. So if someone were to come in with a concept right now about that, we'd launch it tomorrow. So we're having those discussions, and we've got some good ideas that we're got on the stovetop. But like I said, it's really got to fit where we're currently going, but we're going to launch new ideas as we go forward too. I mean, there could be new stations. Who knows what the next idea might be.
You also have such a booming metropolis with the WNBA in Las Vegas and all the attention that already garners. So that just seems to be so seamless for you to want to ride that tidal wave that we're seeing and to grow upon it and to get that content out. If I were and if we switch gears here for a moment, not only do you have a love for the sport and your team and what you do at Fox 5 in Las Vegas, but you've got some pretty distinguished athletes in your family. And I'm curious to know what it's like, the way that you comport yourself when you're watching one of your kids in one of their athletic endeavors.
Yeah, we usually have to trade off and on, my wife and I, in terms of who's going to be the parent that's yelling at the refs. No, I'm kidding. No, it's hard. I mean, I always strive myself to be, to me, if you put in the most effort and you work the hardest, you're going to be successful, right? It's hard as a parent to not push your kids to do the same thing. They have to be able to do it on their own. You talk about successful children as athletes. Yeah, my daughter's going to be going to play D1 beach volleyball. But if you would have asked me that 2 years ago, I would have said, she's a good volleyball player. but then the passion caught on. And now, she's practicing 2 hours every day in the morning. She's going to weights and conditioning right after, and then she's going to play in rec leagues. I mean, she's doing 6 hours a day almost of volleyball every single day, because that's become her passion as she's grown into it. I think you have to allow kids that freedom to grow into the sport they love. I think you look at parents, too much, they push too much. They all think that their kid's going to be the next NHL superstar. When that's got to be the kid's desire. And if the kid has that desire, our my belief is, if you put in the effort, you show that that's what you want to try and do, I'll support you 100%.
Look, and you would be the first to tell anybody, Michael, that there's only so much credit you can take for, say, what your daughter is doing. But she probably saw and has seen and is seeing a passion that you carry with your own work endeavors and what you're doing with your team in Las Vegas. And while you're not directly maybe saying to her, "Hey, see, this is what I'm doing, do it too, pick something, get good at it, and I'm going to be on you," you have set the tone, and then she has sort of picked that up. How much do you see that your actions, even on a subliminal level, might actually have been very beneficial to her?
You hope that's beneficial, right? I mean, I'd like to believe it is. Trust me, I still get a lot of I try to drop little hints every now and then about what you should be doing, and I get a lot of eye rolls. But I think I do think, kids, all, at least when I grew up, right? We always look at our parents as being our heroes, right? And our family that we have, me and my wife, we've got a very tight family, and I'd like to believe that my kids looked up to us as the heroes too. And I look to my parents and the way they worked, and that's what I'm doing today. I'm trying to work the same way they did. So hopefully, in time, if it hasn't rubbed off already, hopefully it'll rub off in the near future on them.
I think it already is. You mentioned your wife. How has she been such a backbone for you and the family?
Luckily, we've been blessed with me having a great career, right? Where she's been able to be the stay-at-home mom to the 3 kids that we have. She works harder than anyone. I mean, she keeps that house organized, keeps the kids on time, keeps them getting good grades in school. Um, without her being able to do that, I don't know if the kids would be as successful as they are. It's so we really are truly blessed. I mean, yeah, I gotta thank God for everything we've gotten. Um, because not many families have had the opportunity that we have to be able to have, my wife, stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, to just be there every day to raise the kids.
How do you try, and even with the hustle and bustle of your work and the kids have all these different things going on, where you're able to, or how hard can this be, or when are you able to do this? Just sit back and say, this is a really cool setup at home, in that you are appreciating what you have and who's around you, despite the fact that you've got so many different people, work, school, athletic pursuits tugging you in different directions, that you are able to say, let's live in the moment here. Where do you find that comes out the most with you and your family?
You know, first and foremost, right? Family and the kids come first no matter what. I arrive at work at 6:30, 7 o'clock every morning, but I leave at 5 o'clock because that's when I get to spend time with the kids, right? And go to their events, or we sit down and have dinner every night. Every night we have dinner as a family, which is, once again, one of those things that it doesn't happen everywhere. But I've got a chair it's kind of in the corner of the house, right, Brian? And every now and then I just sit in that corner. I look out, I look at the chaos that's happening in the house, and I just sit there and I smile. I'm like, this is unbelievable. The family that I've had, and the family that, I mean, it's truly a blessing. It really is.
Those conversations that you're having at the dinner table, if I'm eavesdropping on them, and I don't know, what are we having here? Are we having
Oh,
spaghetti and meatballs?
it's not high level conversation. It's definitely not high level. We're talking about, the dog running around outside, and things like that. No, it's they're just it's just being together. I mean, you know how it is. Sometimes your best friend in life, you can just sit there and not say a word, but you're just glad they're there next to you. And that's, a lot of what we have is just there might not be a lot of words going around, a lot of conversation, but the fact that we're together can't beat it.
That validation you're feeling there, when do you feel that it shows itself most in work? When you're around that community too?
It's the same at work. It really is. I mean, we're yesterday we had two employees that, have had their 20th and 25-year anniversaries here at the station. Right? I've been here 21 years. It truly is a family. I mean, you could sit here. I got a lot of my best friends work here at the station. And they're the people you trust, they're the people you care about. Um, every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I guess I could sit here and do that same thing, right? If I put a chair in the corner and I could see this entire building, I'd look out and I'd be like, man, we got 120 people working here that I'm proud of each and every one of them because they do things here that not many stations around the country can do or we will even try to do. And they do it with a smile on their face. Um, I don't know if that answers your question, but it's you
It
got
does.
you got to care and you got to love everyone around you. And luckily, I'm blessed to have, like I said, both a home environment and a work environment that provides that.
When you create that environment, it's amazing the benefits, the rewards of that. And like you said, I mean, you started out here as an account executive and the fourth ranked station in Las Vegas. And obviously, and you would be the first to say, it's not just you, it's just creating this culture and this identity that even your predecessor was able to instill and just growing and showing that you care for these people and that they got your back. And then look how it pays off. It's amazing. I got one more question for you here. Michael Korr is with me, Vice President, General Manager of Fox 5 in Las Vegas. Given that your background is in sales, what part of your life, unrelated to work, do you feel most in touch with the pitchman self that you came to Fox 5 as at the time?
Outside of work, man, I gotta tell you, man, I don't feel like a salesman or a pitchman at all. I think if you were to ask me a long time ago if I'd ever end up in sales, there's no way, right? I mean, I'm not a sales guy. What I've learned though over the years, um, anyone can be good at sales as long as you can form a good relationship, right? You got to be able to form a good relationship, be trustworthy, um, and do what's in the best interest of the party you're dealing with. And if you're doing that, you're going to win every time. And I never was that used car salesman. Never a pitch.
Well, as we wrap up this conversation, it shows those philosophies, those tenets across your family at home and also your family at work. And look, this is not a conversation. This is, and you know this, Michael. This is not a look at me conversation. This is showing people what it takes, the team around you, your support system, all of those deserve credit, whether it's at work or whether it's at home. And this is the furthest from, hey, look at me and look at what I've done. And people know this and people know that about you. This is not what that is. And be able to differentiate that, that is at the theme of this conversation where we're going and where we went. Michael Korr, I'm Bryan Fenley. Thanks so much for going in all kinds of different directions on the podcast. And that's sort of what we do here. So I appreciate that as well.
Hey, no problem, man. We'll talk to you soon.